I'll admit, I didn't plan on finding love when I signed the lease. All I was thinking about was how nice it would be to have a place that wasn't a shoebox, a bathtub that didn't double as a storage unit, and a fridge that wasn't more decorated with magnets than it was with food. But, of course, fate had other ideas. The day I moved in, I had big plans: carry a bunch of boxes in and out, get some pizza delivered, and start unpacking all my kitchen gadgets I had no idea how to use. It was going to be a me day, which, if I'm being honest, was long overdue. What I didn't expect was the sound of music. And now, this building wasn't exactly the type where you'd expect a symphony to echo down the hall. It was an old place, the kind that looks like it's been around since the dawn of time. And I had a vague sense that the walls were more drywall than soundproof. Still, when I heard the first few notes of a piano drifting into my apartment from next door, I froze. I wasn't a music guy. My idea of a good time was plugging in a podcast, maybe some rock and roll if I was feeling wild. But this was something else. The rich, deep sounds of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata wafting through the air like a freshly baked loaf of bread. It made my bones want to relax, my muscles to unclench, and strangely enough, it made me feel a little guilty for not doing something productive with my life. I couldn't help but wonder who was next door. I had to know. So, being the brave or incredibly awkward guy I am, I grabbed a random box of stuff and knocked on the door. It's not like I had a better idea of what to do with my evening. I'd never met my neighbor, and I figured a friendly hello was as good a way to start as any. When the door opened, I felt like someone had just switched on a spotlight. There she was. The woman I'd heard playing the piano, standing there in a long, flowing cardigan like she was auditioning for a role in a 90s indie film. She had messy, dark hair that looked like she'd been busy, probably juggling some complicated piece of sheet music. Her eyes were big and bright, and, if I'm being totally honest, I couldn't help but blink and stare for a second longer than socially acceptable. Hey, I stammered, holding out the box in front of me like I was presenting a gift to a queen. I just moved in next door. I was, hearing the music, and it's amazing. I mean, I'm not, like, a music critic or anything, but it's really good. She blinked at me, clearly trying to hide a grin. So, you're the one who's been eavesdropping on my practice. I didn't mean to, I swear, I said, flailing my free hand in the air. I was just moving in and, I really wasn't expecting that. She laughed, and it was the kind of laugh that made everything feel warmer. I'm Alice, she said, extending a hand. And yes, I'm the one with the piano that apparently travels through walls. I shook her hand, suddenly very aware of how sweaty my palms were. I'm Dave. I'm your neighbor, so if you ever need someone to, not eavesdrop on you. Too late, Alice teased. You already did, but I'm not mad at it. Just, next time, maybe don't stand outside my door for a half hour before knocking. I blushed, unsure if she was joking or if I actually had been caught creeping. Okay, I won't. But seriously, your piano playing is really, it's good. She waved it off. I'm just a musician trying to make ends meet, but thanks, I appreciate it. I'd barely managed to turn and start walking back to my apartment when she added, by the way, you can come by anytime to hear my music if you'd like. Just, not if you're, creeping on me again. I smiled. Deal? I'll just be the guy who's definitely not eavesdropping. Over the next few weeks, I found myself running into Alice in the hallway more often than I would have liked to admit. I could always tell when she was in a good mood. The sound of her piano would waft through the air, each note warmer than the last. Some days, I'd purposely linger near the door, just for a second, to listen. Not because I was stalking her, mind you. It was just soothing. But there was a problem. As much as I enjoyed hearing Alice play, there was something else that made my stomach churn whenever I bumped into her in the hallway. A series of threatening letters started appearing in our building's common area. They were directed at Alice. I tried to ignore them, but one day I couldn't. Eviction? I asked incredulously. What do you mean, eviction? Alice had been pacing in front of her door, holding an envelope. I could see the frustration building in her eyes. I've been trying to make things work, taking extra shifts at the restaurant, doing whatever I can. But the landlord wants me out. That's crazy, I said, stepping closer. What for? Apparently, they don't like how much noise I make with my music, she said with the air quotes, looking at me like she'd been betrayed by the very walls she lived in. Also, because I've been late with a few payments, she sighed. And then there's the fact that I'm paying tuition for my little brother. His scholarship didn't come through, so I'm trying to make up for it. All the while, Mr. Gray, our lovely landlord, decides he can do whatever he wants. I blinked, piecing together the situation in my head. So, you're being evicted to help your brother finish college? Yep, she said, a laugh full of sarcasm escaping her. It's a whole thing. I don't understand, I said, my heart going out to her. This guy's a jerk. You're just trying to help someone. You don't deserve this. Alice seemed to appreciate the sentiment, though her face was still clouded with frustration. I don't know what I'm going to do. I just want to help my brother. I'll figure something out. It's just, I hate being in this position. I stepped forward without thinking, reaching out to give her a quick, reassuring touch on her shoulder. Hey, you're not alone in this. The moment I touched her, I felt it. A spark. That little tinkling feeling you get when something just clicks into place. It felt right. The kind of right that made the air suddenly thicker. I couldn't help but linger there, my hand still on her shoulder, unsure of what to do next. We were standing close now. I could feel her breath. She was nervous, but also relieved that I wasn't going to just offer her a kind word and leave. The moment stretched. What now? And then, just when I thought I might be stepping into dangerous territory, I heard it. A knock on the door. Mr. Gray. Alice turned, looking panicked. I've got to go deal with this guy. Thanks for listening. She hurried off, and just like that, I was left standing there with a heart pounding out of my chest. Long story short, I didn't just stand idly by, I helped Alice, and we found a way to deal with Mr. Gray. Through a combination of clever negotiation, a couple of well-placed favors, and Alice's sheer determination, we won. She didn't get evicted, she finished her brother's college tuition, and most importantly, she didn't have to face any of it alone. We ended up celebrating in her apartment one night, pizza, wine, Beethoven playing in the background, and when the moment was right, when the pizza boxes were emptied and the night felt just perfect, we both leaned in. No more obstacles, just two people who'd found each other in the most unexpected of places. And the kiss? It was worth every second of the wait.